Welcome to Trump Wire, your trusted source for breaking headlines, global insights, and sharp analysis from around the world. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. In October 2022, Hyundai Motor Group announced a monumental investment, a massive electric vehicle and battery plant in Bryan County, Georgia. This multi-billion-dollar mega plant was set to redefine Georgia's industrial landscape and anchor the state's green economy. Governor Kemp, beaming with pride, called it proof of Georgia's status as the #1 state for business. The plant promised over 8,000 direct jobs and thousands more through suppliers and service industries. Local colleges began planning new programs to train the workforce for these advanced roles. Families saw a future where their children could find good careers close to home. For Hyundai, Georgia offered a business-friendly environment, skilled labor, and port access through Savannah, an ideal gateway to the American market. The company planned to produce a new line of innovative EVs for U.S. consumers, making this plant the cornerstone of its North American strategy. The partnership was hailed as a win-win, with both sides betting big on the electric vehicle revolution. Excitement swept across the state, as the project was seen as a generational opportunity. The mega plant was expected to draw in a network of suppliers and technology firms, creating a ripple effect of economic growth. The investment was more than just jobs. It was about building an entire ecosystem. The future looked bright and the ground was ready to be broken. It was a story of shared ambition and mutual benefit. Everyone believed this was the start of something big. Just as the deal was celebrated, Washington threw a curveball. The Inflation Reduction Act offered a $7,500 tax credit for new EVs, but only if final assembly happened in North America, with strict rules on battery sourcing. Hyundai's Georgia plant wouldn't open until 2025, leaving its imported EVs ineligible for the credit. Suddenly, Hyundai faced a $7,500 disadvantage against competitors with U.S. factories. Sales projections plummeted, and the company felt blindsided. South Korean officials lobbied for a grace period, arguing the law penalized a company investing billions in America. The U.S. response was slow, forcing Hyundai to accelerate construction and seek legal workarounds. The Treasury clarified that leased vehicles weren't subject to the same rules, so Hyundai pushed competitive lease deals. But this was a patch, not a solution. The law, meant to boost American manufacturing, had unintentionally put Hyundai's entire U.S. strategy at risk. The company scrambled to adapt, but the damage was done. The episode exposed the unpredictability of U.S. policy for foreign investors. Hyundai's commitment to Georgia was suddenly in jeopardy. The promise of prosperity now came with a heavy dose of uncertainty. The future of the project, and the thousands of jobs it promised, hung in the balance. The ground had shifted beneath everyone's feet. In September 2025, the crisis escalated. Federal agents raided the Hyundai LG battery plant construction site in Georgia, the largest single-site immigration enforcement action in U.S. history. Hundreds of workers, including South Korean citizens, were detained. The images of skilled technicians in shackles shocked both sides of the Pacific. For South Korea, it was a public humiliation and a blow to the U.S.-Korea alliance. Families were thrown into turmoil, and the South Korean government scrambled to respond. Foreign Minister Cho Hyun rushed to Washington, demanding the release of detained nationals. The raid halted work at the site, exposing vulnerabilities in the contractor network and raising questions about oversight. Trust between Hyundai and its American partners was shattered. The project, once a symbol of progress, was now mired in chaos and fear. The diplomatic crisis threatened to derail one of the largest economic development projects in U.S. history. The human cost was immediate and devastating. The business fallout was just beginning. The raid was more than an immigration issue. It was a turning point. The future of the entire venture was suddenly in doubt. In South Korea, the raid was seen as a betrayal. News of shackled Korean workers dominated headlines, fueling outrage and disbelief. The incident came just weeks after a summit celebrating new U.S.-Korea investment deals. President Lee Jae-myung called for strengthening national power. Signaling deep displeasure with the U.S.-Korean business leaders warned of the risks of investing in America, citing unpredictable enforcement and legal jeopardy. Hyundai responded by banning all U.S. travel for its staff, a clear sign of the deep chill. The raid cast a shadow over hundreds of billions in planned Korean investment. The American market, once seen as stable, now looked fraught with danger. The alliance was strained, and trust was in question. Corporate leaders wondered if the US was worth the risk. The dream of American expansion was now tinged with fear. The bridge between the two economies looked fragile. The fallout was immediate and severe. In Georgia, the impact was immediate. Construction on the Hyundai LG battery plant stopped cold. LG Energy Solution announced a postponement, pushing the opening to at least mid-2026. Analysts doubted even that timeline, as the entire EV strategy was thrown into chaos. The battery plant was crucial for Hyundai and Kia's US production. Without it, the supply chain was crippled. Sourcing batteries elsewhere would undermine the benefits of the Georgia hub and complicate compliance with federal tax credit rules. The business climate, already chilled by the IRA, turned icy. The raid sent a message: investing in the US came with unpredictable risks. International investors grew wary, and companies tightened travel and operational guidelines. Financial markets in Seoul grew anxious about the long-term prospects of American ventures. The project, once a beacon of hope, became a symbol of uncertainty. The crisis of confidence was real. The future of the meta plant was now in limbo. For Governor Kemp, the raid was a political disaster. He'd championed the Hyundai deal as the crown jewel of his economic strategy. Now, his biggest success story was in crisis, and he'd had no warning from Washington. Kemp was caught between supporting law enforcement and protecting Georgia's business reputation. He criticized the federal government's lack of coordination and worked behind the scenes to reassure Hyundai. The incident gave ammunition to his opponents and cast doubt on Georgia's reliability for global investors. National political figures, including Donald Trump, seized on the moment to push their own agendas. Kemp's authority was undermined, and his promises to international partners looked shaky. The fallout was significant, both locally and nationally. The governor was left to navigate a political minefield with Georgia's economic future at stake. The human cost was profound. Hundreds of workers faced detention and deportation, their families left in panic and uncertainty. The local community, once optimistic about 8,000 new jobs, now faced anxiety and stalled plans. Small businesses and real estate projects were put on hold. The delay meant lost paychecks and mounting worry for families. American workers at the site also faced job insecurity. The collaborative spirit was replaced by fear and suspicion. The project, once a source of pride, became a source of instability. The dreams of thousands were put on hold. The crisis showed how fragile large-scale projects can be. Political decisions far away had upended local lives. The meta plant, once a symbol of hope, now stood for broken promises. The raid sent shockwaves through the global business community. International corporations saw the risks of investing in the US rise overnight. The lack of coordination between state and federal authorities was alarming. If it could happen to Hyundai, it could happen to anyone. Companies began re-evaluating US expansion plans, factoring in new political risks. The cost of doing business in America now included unpredictable enforcement and legal uncertainty. The incident exposed vulnerabilities in the subcontractor model many firms rely on. Companies tightened audits and added layers of compliance. The US market, once seen as safe, now looked like a legal minefield. The Hyundai crisis became a cautionary tale. The chilling effect on foreign investment was real and immediate. As of November 2025, Hyundai's Georgia project is in limbo. The site is quiet, the future uncertain. Hyundai faces a tough choice: walk away from billions or trust a shaken partnership. Georgia's reputation as a business hub hangs in the balance. The crisis is a lesson in the limits of state power and the risks of unpredictable policy. The fate of thousands of jobs, and America's image as a reliable partner, are at stake. The world is watching to see if trust can be rebuilt. For now, the promise of prosperity remains unfulfilled.